Uh, there's a lot of things about to happen in the next few hours. One, daylight savings is about to end. We will probably go into hibernation mode. India, South Africa starting soon, in a couple hours or more. But before that, my guy Rakimul Haq and I here, as always, um, to review the double headers from today. Two really exciting games. One marred by a lot of rain. The one that the run chase always looked a little bit dead. Yeah, so a lot to discuss. So let's get started with New Zealand Pakistan, a game that started at 1 a.m. For us here in Toronto, finished much later than I don't know the cutoff, like estimated cutoff time for usual ODI. Is Rachin Ravindra the best batter in this World Cup?
I mean, Rachin Ravindra is basically having the Shakib Al Hasan 2019 kind of tournament.
Yeah, except he doesn't
He'd be
bowl.
hoping 2027 doesn't go a certain way. But all things considered, of course, he's having a fantastic World Cup. He got runs at number three, and now he's gotten runs as an opener, which it's just magnificent
Yeah,
when you put it like that. I mean, to think that he would outscore and outperform the likes of Devon Conway in India, it's truly incredible. I mean, he's
yeah,
someone no one really would have given that sort of a chance to begin with. He was here to replace Bracewell, and Bracewell was expected to bat down at number seven.
yeah,
So for
yeah,
him to play the way he has, it truly has been magnificent.
yeah. Background on Rachin Ravindra is from under 19 or New Zealand A. He's actually always been a top order batter, and we talked about this before that he's someone who comes with a lot of maturity and pedigree at the top of the order, which is not very common for players of his age group. He played the under 19 World Cup in 2018, primarily. I think he was part of 2016 maybe, but didn't play, something like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, w- Will Young got dropped. New Zealand obviously chose to bat. At any point, did you think they were going to get 400 after, say, the first 20-25 overs?
400 was definitely on the cards, and it just depended on whether they can get that good finish or not. I think it was, who was it today? Chapman? Chapman came good.
Chapman came good. Santner came good. Glenn Phillips continuing his form from the other game, got a 41. Yeah, Santner 26 red. So yeah. Obviously you had Chapman batting at he came in for Nisham, 144 strike rate. Glenn Phillips 164, Mitchell Santner 152 or 153. So is
And
that the
one of the most
turning point?
important things in that scorecard, if you look all the way at the bottom, is Tom Latham two not out. And
Yeah,
I'll tell you
sure.
why that's important. Had they sent Tom Latham at number four or number five, they would not have gotten these 400
No.
runs. No way.
Yeah, and that tells you a bit about New Zealand, I guess. They kind of realized Tom Latham's not really in the best of his form, and he's really not contributing that way that they would have liked. Um, so and he's a really mature and honest individual who's played at international cricket for a very long time. So he's not gonna be crying about batting behind all these other guys who have a lot more pedigree and a power game. Kane Williamson back like he never left.
And that's just Kane, right? Like
Yeah,
every you can play him with a broken hand, broken leg, whatever. He's just gonna be there. He's gonna quietly come and do take care of his business and leave. Not gonna bother anyone. It was disappointing to see him miss out on the century, of course. But
but it talks a lot about team first, right?
absolutely,
End of the
absolutely.
day, yeah, yeah. I think, like we said a couple of episodes ago, we were seeing a theme of people going for personal milestones and stuff, and in the process, it was looking ugly. Yeah, you were getting personal milestones, but does it really um bring that light to the game that we always talk about, especially the ODI game, where everyone's talking about the future of ODI cricket and things of that nature. Um, Partnerships wise, obviously Conway and Rachin Ravindra had a really good start. Ravindra and Williamson, and then obviously the three finisher guys chipping in. Which partnership do you think was the most impactful in terms of getting to that 400?
For the 400, it's definitely the second wicket partnership, I would say, between Kane Williamson and Rachin Ravindra. And I know we've had a bunch of good and quick fire partnerships after that, but to lay the foundation the way they did, I know a lot of other batters also lay down the foundation, but the ones coming after them kind of failed to capitalize. Today wasn't that case. So it
Yeah,
was just them laying the foundation, and everyone else who came afterwards capitalized. And as we said before, they set up the correct batting order for today's match scenario,
yeah,
which was very, very important to get them to that 400. Unfortunately, it didn't really matter for them. And
yeah. I mean, before we even like get to that, Pakistan's bowling just they don't even have a proper spinner.
you know, I
And
mean, we spoke about
I don't even
it
remember the
earlier.
last time I saw Pakistan not have a proper spinner in their playing 11.
To be honest, here's a problem. I would say, since Saeed Ajmal's suspension, I don't think they've ever had. Shadab has been good for the most part. Shadab has been good, but they've never had a spinner who's as effective, if that makes
Yeah,
sense, as
yeah,
effective for a long duration of time. Someone who you can just go to him and he will give you results. They don't really have that anymore, not since Saeed Ajmal got suspended. And Shadab is completely out of form, so he's dropped. That leaves you with Iftikhar and Aga Salman, and it's hard to be harsh on them. You know,
yeah. I
they
mean, Aga
performed.
Salman, what, 2 overs, 21 runs, not really much. But the thing is, when you're coming in as part-timers, you're coming in sixth change or fifth change or whatever it is. There's already, like you said, there's a lot of pressure on that. And my question is, if Pakistan did drop Usama Mir, Nawaz, obviously Shadab's probably out with his concussion. They dropped those two guys who are frontline spinners more so. But then Iftikhar's bowling in the power play. He's bowled 5 overs in the power play. Does that really make sense?
The only possible conclusion I can draw from that is two left-handers were batting at the time.
Yeah,
So that was probably the idea. But outside of that, it's hard to justify. I mean, Iftikhar, he's gonna give you overs. He's even gonna pick up a wicket or two here and there,
yeah,
but he's not gonna be as effective. Like, yeah,
yeah.
at this point, you put him in front of Bangladesh and the way Bangladesh are batting or the way England are batting, he's gonna pick up a bunch of wickets. There's no doubt in that. But outside of that, I don't know. I wouldn't be too confident about his bowling
Bowling.
skills. He
Yeah,
can be
no.
useful to break a partnership here and there, man with a golden arm and whatnot. But what we've been saying about him is he is just a slightly better than average batting all-rounder or better than the average part-timer that you would find. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean he is a proper
Proper.
go-to
Yeah,
bowling
yeah.
option.
I think Pakistan's taken some inspiration from Australia using Glenn Maxwell as a I mean, as a frontline spinner, and they've decided to go with that. Just last bit about Pakistan's bowling. In combination with the approach Rachin Ravindra had, a lot of crisp shots. Um, Timing was, I guess, I would say maybe top two batters I have seen with the timing. Um, in my years of watching cricket, a lot of times people get lucky with some shots that goes to no man's land, etc., etc. But the ones he hits with conviction is just has a different sound, has a different feel, and you just know he's. And two guys he really pounced on were Shaheen and Haris Raf. in that opening spell. He just kept going after them, trying to put that pressure back on. Um, Shaheen's got 18 wickets at the World Cup, 16 wickets at the World Cup. Harris has got a few too, but um, Hassan Ali also a bit of off color, medium pace. What are your thoughts about the pace battery?
If you think about it, I think Mohammad Wasim currently has the best average.
Yeah,
He's picked up 8 wickets in 3 matches and hasn't gone for too many, at least
no,
not
he's
today.
gone for six and over today in a 400 game. Take that any day and go to bed.
Absolutely. And here in Bangalore, we knew that none of the bowlers were going to get that much of an advantage. I think Pakistan's strategy today, looking at the batting order, looking at how they didn't play spinners, the way they play back extra pacers, I think the idea was just if we go for runs, we go for runs. It's fine. We're going to try and attack with the new ball. It doesn't if it doesn't work, it's okay. We're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
get flustered. We're not relying too much on our bowling attack right now as is. I think that was Pakistan's thought process, which is why, for the most part, they didn't look bothered. Now that we're going to transition into the second innings, I think
yeah,
that played a very big role in
yeah,
them not being too bothered. With Shaheen, he's been having an on and off tournament where
yeah,
he's picking up wickets on most
yeah,
days. Today he didn't, but
yeah,
most days he's picking up wickets, but
yeah,
he just hasn't looked as effective, not outside that game against Bangladesh. And again, we've been saying this time and again that Bangladesh aren't having a good time with the bat at all. So it's hard to
yeah.
judge a
So
bowler's performance based on
off that,
how he's performing against Bangladesh
100%,
right now.
100%.
So with that in mind, I think Pakistan weren't too bothered going for a few runs here in Bangalore. And I think the idea was very simple from the get-go. We're just gonna try and build a partnership and chase it down. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And Qudrat
I
and
guess you
Nizam,
Qudrat in Nizam, I guess you
Qudrat and
could
Nizam
say.
coming into play.
Yeah, since that spreadsheet came out after the last game, and what the different results need to be in favor of Pakistan to make that last position in the top four. Things have been going their way, you could say. Babar Azam, Fakhar Zaman. Babar didn't hit a boundary for 30 balls in the middle during that innings, but he never looked flustered. And I guess the main topic is that attack from Fakhar Zaman. I mean, Williamson took a worldie to start off. You almost think, oh, this is a Pakistan collapse incoming, etc., etc. And these two just pick out one of the best counter-attacking. Um, Obviously, Bengaluru batting friendly wicket by all means, but yeah, I mean, words for Fakhar and Babar. What are your thoughts?
Start a partnership when Start a partnership in the third over when in the first two
Yeah,
overs you are 1 for 6. As you said, great catch from Williamson. Gets rid of Shafiq. As batters chasing 400 at that point, on most days they just give up.
yeah,
They don't even consider
yeah,
the possibility.
yeah,
But it's almost uncharacteristic. I don't want to say uncharacteristic in an insulting, demeaning way. I want to say uncharacteristic more in a way that batting has never been Pakistan's strongest suit, but that has completely changed in this tournament.
yeah,
These two, Fakar and Babar, it looked like they had rain in mind and they played exactly according to the situation.
yeah,
They knew that they didn't even think that, okay, no, 400, realistically, even if we bat well, we can't bat well for 50 overs. At that point, they
yeah,
had to bat for 48 overs.
yeah,
It's unrealistic to bat for 48 overs at
yeah,
8 and over and
yeah,
get 400.
yeah.
You can't trust the
Even
batters to
even though
follow
they
too
were going
much.
at such a good rate, the required run rate still kept creeping up, right?
Kept
So
climbing, but it's
yeah,
almost like they had rain in mind and they knew
yeah,
exactly when
yeah,
the rain was going to come, and it did exactly that.
yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, I don't even say this Qudrat and Nizam as a joke anymore. It literally is playing out for
Yeah,
them that
so
way.
so Fakhar said in the press conference after the game that after the 15th over they actually sent a message out to the dugout and they asked what they needed to be at after 20, and his whole mindset was he's gonna go for it. And I mean, like, to
Is this
have
Pakistan cricket? Are we talking about a
yeah,
different team?
yeah, yeah, like can you imagine this like 3 games ago to be talking about Pakistan like this? Um, but I guess more so the maturity he showed with the innings. Um, he's known to have a bit of weakness against leg spin. Took that on today. Ish Sodhi bowled some pies, honestly, by all means, but you still gotta
And
put
was
them
getting free
away.
wickets in Mirpur.
Yeah,
He
he
got
was
a
getting
little too comfortable
yeah,
with
he was
that.
bowling to Shammo Sharkar and he thought that's the same as Fakir Zaman. Fakir Zaman was hitting sixes with one hand at one point, with
And he
his
was
ball.
so good to watch. He
And
was
yeah,
just so good to watch
yeah.
today.
Um, do you think he had a clear plan against particular bowlers, or he just wanted to be positive and aggressive against everyone?
There was no mad hoiking. There
Yeah,
was no blind slogging. This was proper aggressive batting from Fakhar Zaman. This
yeah,
is the the glimpses of Fakhar Zaman we saw in the 2017 Champions Trophy. This is
yeah,
him, being more than just a batter who goes out there and scores a quick 20, 30 runs. This is
yeah,
him realizing his potential.
yeah.
He had a plan, as you said, and he matched that plan with his aggressive approach. It's like he was running numbers in his head constantly. The
Constantly.
way,
Yeah,
like, you could, on one hand, you could be awestruck by the shots he was playing, but on the other hand, you could see that it's almost like there was a machine up there calculating at every point exactly how many runs are needed and
yeah.
how he needs to play, keeping in mind that Babar isn't going all guns blazing at
No.
the other end. And I know it's easy to criticize Babar here, but if you think about it, if you think about the overall scheme of things, if you think about chasing 400, if you think about how DRS works in
Yeah,
these sort of DLS, sorry,
yeah,
DLS works in these sort of
yeah,
situations, Babar's innings is actually what came in clutch.
yeah. 100%.
You want to score 400, you need to have wickets in hand.
Yeah,
You want to be ahead on DLS,
you
you
have to have
also need
Wiggins hand.
wickets in hand.
Yeah, yeah,
This was so important from Babar. I don't even know if he thought the whole thing through or this is just him playing his natural game, but this was actually really good from him. But on the other hand, Fakhar Zaman he just
yeah, yeah.
this
One
was just a
like
perfect innings by
stole
every
the
definition.
limelight, right? Yeah, like you said, perfect innings. For him to essentially have that mindset, Babar obviously came out, he got a few runs early doors, and then, like we mentioned, he had 30 balls where he didn't get a boundary. But he never got bogged down for like 10 balls, 15 balls where he didn't score a run. He just kept putting Fucker back on strike. And is that a captain realizing what's at stake here, plus what he actually brings to the table more so than scoring a 50 and getting out rather than, he's their best batter end of the day and he has a big responsibility to take.
What is Babar's love affair and with this whole New Zealand in World Cups? What is this?
This
Is
is
he taking
these are
revenge
plans.
for his favorite player Virat Kohli? I don't know what's going on.
He's taking revenge for Martin Guptill's run out from 2019.
He is yet to get out against New Zealand in ODI World Cups. That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's mental. Um, yeah, I guess the other thing is, did New Zealand go wrong in their selection with not picking Kyle Jamieson, who's obviously come in for Matt Henry, um, because Henry's out injured. They decided to go with the extra leg spinner at Bengaluru. Was that a wrong call on their part?
Um, wasn't there some statement made that, Jameson has just arrived because they sent him back
Yeah,
from
yeah,
India
yeah. They
and
sent
then
him
he
back.
just
He just
arrived that
stayed.
that's why
Yeah,
he's not playing.
yeah,
I think that's the only possible justifiable reason because otherwise why would you play an extra leg spinner here
yeah.
against a team that's okay, no. Now that I think about it, this Pakistan team isn't as good against spin
Spin.
as
Yeah,
some of the
because
other
you think
Pakistan
about
teams we've seen in the
Iftikhar and
past.
these guys, they're very
Even Babar,
susceptible. Babar
struggles time to time.
Babar's gotten
Fakar
out
does
to
as well.
spin. Yeah, yeah, he's gotten out to spin mostly this tournament. So, and
I
Fakhr
guess in
Zaman.
that regard it makes sense, but yes, some
Yeah,
things are just hindsight is 2020 for
point.
with some things, and this
Yeah,
is one of those scenarios. Team Saudi, I think he was playing half fit,
yeah.
but
I don't.
he managed
Yeah,
to pick up a wicket early on.
yeah, yeah. Would you say New Zealand has a lot to take away from the game, or is it just they just got to get one win out of something, out of somewhere? There's not much they could have done right today. I still think they actually bowled all right for most part. Babar and Fuckers is batted really well. Is that a correct conclusion on that?
I suppose yes, but you lose 4 games on the trot, you're worried.
Yeah,
You are
yeah.
naturally worried.
This is
There's
this is
nothing that
when
can
this is
make you
when they're
not worry.
sweating now. Yeah, this is when they're sweating 100% because now they have what? Um,
Sri Lanka to
they
face?
have a Sri Lanka game left, and that's it.
Can that be it? Let me
No,
check.
no, that's not it.
That's not it.
They have
Oh no,
a
no, you're right. That's it. That's it.
that is
They
it.
literally have 1 game.
Yeah,
Them and Pakistan, they have 1 game each.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
So yeah, so that will be interesting. Um,
Their one positive is the run rate difference with Pakistan is massive.
Massive, yeah, massive. And
So for so
Pakistan
they
will
have
essentially need to beat England by about 150 or 200 runs, something like that, to catch up, which is against this England team is
not writing it off.
not writing it off. Which is not a
Pakistan can
bad
remind themselves that they beat the world champion English side in
side in
2019.
2019. Yeah. So it's not a bad segue to our Australia versus England match, which was the second game of the day. England's just forgot how to play cricket. I don't know how this group of guys cannot score 286 or 287. This is obviously their new generation of white ball cricketers, most of them, who have been a big part of what England cricket's about, their mentality and the way going forward. Um, to start off with Australia's batting, you lose a couple of early wickets. Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne. Uh, Once again, the big boys are stepping up. Uh, is Australia pretty much confirmed at this point?
I would say so. And I wouldn't even say they're confirmed for the semi-finals, but I am writing them into the finals already.
Yeah, yeah. They're looking good, and this is without Mitchell Marsh today. Um, which is obviously quite concerning if you're an opposition team because Mitchell Marsh obviously brings a lot more. But Cameron Green didn't look like he was missing for a couple of games. Stepped right in and got a nice 47 today. Marcus Stoinis obviously put in a little bit of partnership with them. Is that a selection headache or is it Mitchell Marsh walks back in straight?
Marsh could walk back in straight, but the problem is the top 4 have done reasonably. I
Exceptionally
don't
well.
even want to say reasonably well. They've done
Yeah,
more than reasonably well.
yeah,
They have performed in every scenario possible, and I don't think that switch is needed.
yeah,
But the question is, do you still not persist with it? Do you not persist with it because Marsh has done well in
yeah,
this World Cup in a
yeah,
few instances, and
yeah,
you know how capable he is in the white ball format. I'm sorry, Green still isn't as tested, as well
yeah,
tested as
yeah,
Marsh is.
100%. And a lot of his selection was influenced by some of the form that he showed in the IPL. Um, Obviously, he did lose out on his spot in the Ashes to Mitchell Marsh after Mitchell Marsh's counter-attacking 100. Adam Zampa, Big Zamps 29, tail end, and these guys were talking about it that this might be the difference. You think England leaked out too many at the end there?
Definitely did. And all those years of batting at number 8 for Melbourne Stars,
Stars,
it's
yeah.
starting to pay off. And maybe taking some extra batting tips from Marcus Stoinis, who knows? But all in all, yeah, England just don't. This happens when sides don't look like themselves. They look like a weaker, significantly weaker version of themselves. We've seen this with India when India used to travel abroad and they didn't have the bowling attack which they could be confident about. They used to leak a
Yeah,
lot of runs at the death, a lot. This is before Bumrah. This is before the peak Mohammad Shami.
yeah.
This is before these guys came into the scene. So yeah, we're seeing something like that with England when most of their players are going way past their peak
There's just
and
not
they just
returning.
don't look a side that's confident, a side that wants to win at this point. This is what happens. You let the game slip like this, it shows that you genuinely don't want to win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 100%. Bowling wise, they did pick up the wickets regularly. Chris Wokes, really good spell. David Willey's obviously retired from ODI cricket, still had a good spell. How is Mark Wood going for so many runs? Need
And
for
we saw that.
pace.
Is it to do with him just not picking the subcontinent conditions at all? We saw him struggle. I think it was in Sylhet.
Yeah. I think Haris Ruff and Mark Wood are going through the same issue where they're trying to rush people, but these pitches are not really for rushing people, and it's not working because it's just sitting up on such a nice length and on such a nice speed that these guys are able to just, throw their hands at it in a sense. Um, so square of the wicket becomes a lot more open for everyone. And when you're getting runs square of the wicket, it's really hard to stop bleeding. So yeah, I mean, Adil Rashid again, exceptional as always. Nothing really different for Big Rash. But in 2019, England had this kind of a bit of a bite that we talked about with their bowling. They always looked like something was going to give, something was going to happen. It was like something was waiting to explode. This year, it's been more about batters giving away wickets to them than them creating the chances. What's gone wrong with that?
Hard to point a finger and say, no, this has gone wrong. On one hand, I have spoken about it a lot already, that not playing too much ODI cricket with
Yeah,
the right amount of intensity, it doesn't help because, in ODI cricket, bowlers are a lot more patient and bowlers are looking to exploit the conditions a lot more to get wickets, which you don't see in T20 cricket.
yeah,
And even Test cricket doesn't prepare you that way. And Test cricket, it doesn't even matter because most of these guys aren't regularly featuring in the Test squad at all. Even when they are, they're playing different roles, like Johnny
yeah.
Bairstow playing a completely different role in the Test
Middle
side.
order. Yeah,
And again, even when someone like Joe Root or Ben Stokes is playing Test cricket, they're coming out there with a very different mindset as opposed to ODI cricket.
yeah,
That's the thing about ODI cricket. You can, it helps develop your game when you play Test cricket, when you play T20 cricket. It develops different aspects of your game which are necessary. But ODI cricket is still a very unique format in itself. It may seem like this awkward middle child, but it always has a lot to offer, which
yeah,
I think these guys are missing at this point. And again, they it's so easy to set them up. It's almost ridiculous. Like
yeah. I mean, Root almost got out for a duck or something today. They had the fielder in the right place who Stoinis kind of fell over it. Um, Harry Brook picked over Jason Roy. He's not a shoe in every game. And if he's not a shoe in every game, why would you pick him over Jason Roy? Does that really make sense?
problem is I know Jason Roy has had problems with his back and other
Yeah,
injury issues. His form isn't great, but the problem is you can't change openers right now. Johnny Bairstow is averaging 20 in this tournament, and you
yeah.
can't change him because you
You
don't
can,
have an opener.
yeah, yeah. You don't have options. You would have to make a 21-year-old bloke open at the World Cup if you really wanted to change options. Uh, before we go into Stokes
Just
and
a small thing in that
yeah.
regard. David Willey could open. Just throwing it out there.
If you think this is the T20 blast, vitality blast,
Perfect swan song, my friend. Perfect swan song.
I think
Think
he's
about it.
I think he said he watching those light show go off in the India game was the right swan song for him. So um Liam Livingston just not coping with the ODI format at all.
Not happening for him.
Yeah, it's just
They've
it's,
it's like they've built this cricketer around T20 cricket. And that's not to say he hasn't played a good amount of first class cricket or list A cricket. He has.
yeah,
But since 2021, they've been trying to create this near
beast.
perfect T20
Yeah, T10.
specimen.
Yeah.
And
It's
that
like
just
this.
doesn't
It's like
translate
this
well into this
product that
format.
just goes out there, takes everyone on, takes the opposition out of the game, and all that. Um, Ben Stokes loves the game against Aussies. I mean, great innings from him today. Did not look he was comfortable with his injury at all. Um, but he was 13 of 35 at once, picked up the pace a little bit afterwards. Had a really good partnership with David Malan to really keep them in the game. Uh, he hasn't had a really good World Cup either with the bat. He's probably going to retire after the World Cup again from ODI cricket. Um, do you think we've seen him play his last game and they might just give some other guys a go in the final game?
Possibly. Do you think the Champions Trophy position has slipped already? Because that I think that they're playing for that at this point.
Yeah, it's a funny one because they still have a Netherlands game left to go with.
I think they'll just go with Harry Brook
Yeah,
because there's
so
no
it's
point.
just
I
it's
mean,
just it's just like pointless for them, right?
pointless. He's got his one half century. Stokes
Yeah,
has got his one half
half
century in this
century.
World Cup. Good enough. It keeps his World Cup record still pretty good. I think five
Yeah,
half centuries now
yeah,
in eight, 9 plus 4. I want to say somewhere around 13 matches or something.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
We'll
Yeah,
take it.
yeah. And Adam Zampa, best leg spinner going around.
It's funny because Adil Rashid has had an almost equally good tournament, if not better, in terms of consistency. He's definitely been better, but that's the thing. When you're part of a better performing team,
Yeah.
your performance shines out. And Zampa, that's the thing with Zampa. You can take him on one day and again the next. He will come up with a plan for you. That's the thing. People have been writing off Adam Zampa since, I don't know, from the beginning of his career, maybe from 2019, whatever, he's always managed to be relevant in the white ball scene. He has kept himself up as Australia's lead white ball spinner for a reason, and he has performed exceptionally well. He's figured out exactly what's needed for a wrist spinner to consistently perform in these two formats, and
Hmm.
it's worked well for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think uh Glenn Maxwell, especially with him being out after that concussion now, he plays a much bigger role. Being the sole spinner, you could say. Travis Head will contribute a few overs here and there when conditions help, but it's not the same as Maxwell coming on the other side. So yeah, but I think he's done it in England. He's done it in England. He's done it in Australia. He's done it in South Africa, conditions where it's not always conducive to spin. So in India, it's not gonna be too far fetched for him to be the main spinner. England's qualification scenario for 2025 Champions Trophy is they gotta beat Netherlands and Pakistan. Sri Lanka or Australia have to beat Bangladesh, not eat, which they might actually do while beating Bangladesh. And India has to defeat Netherlands. So they have a few results that need to go their way. But just to wrap up before we're done, um, what's England looking forward to besides, I guess, Champions Trophy, and what's Australia looking forward to at this point if they are able to have their best 11 on the park going forward?
England, pride. The
Yeah,
Three Lions, they play for pride, and their pride has been severely wounded
yeah,
in this tournament.
yeah.
They're definitely going to want to recover from that, whatever positives they can get. The one positive. We spoke about playing Harry Brook. The one thing about playing Harry Brook is he has a good innings here. You can say that he's had a at least a half decent World Cup, better than half decent, and he
Yeah,
is definitely a prospect for the future. So if you
yeah.
can keep continuing with him, there are so many questions. Does Johnny Bairstow have a future in this format now?
Format. Yeah. Is this where Moeen Ali's done?
Is this where
Uh,
Moeen Ali's done? How long can Dawid Malan be there for you in ODIs?
yeah.
All these questions start to come up.
Who's
Was it
gonna
even a good
captain
decision to
after?
bring Joe Root in?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Is Joe Root or Ben Stokes or
Joe
both?
Root, because Joe
Or
Root was
both?
out of the white ball scene entirely,
Or
and they,
both?
they just rushed him into ODI cricket again,
Yeah, yeah. It's just
thinking that he's going to be handy in these
it's just
scenarios.
those emotion calls more than anything. We've seen other teams do similar mistakes in the past. Uh, and it doesn't always go down well because changing between white ball formats is not as difficult, but changing from red ball to white ball can be a bit difficult. I know a lot of people play all three formats nowadays. They don't find it difficult, but to each their own. I guess, yeah, I mean, England really they would want to finish at least eight if somehow possible, or at least nine. They just don't want to be at the bottom of the table. Um, Whereas Australia, yeah, things would have to go horribly wrong at this point for them to not make the top four. After a slow start, they picked up really well. Hard to imagine. Could you imagine Marnus not being here at the World Cup when the squad was initially announced?
No way, no way. I mean, you need that crisis man. You need that
Yeah,
man who can put his hand up in any situation to be there at number four. On paper, it may seem like no, it's great plan to have someone like, let's say, Green bat at number four. He's more aggressive. He's gotten runs in India, be it in a completely different format in a
yeah,
franchise tournament,
yeah,
but he's gotten runs and he's going to give you a lot more with the ball. All these things work well on paper, but in reality, you really do need someone like Labuschagne still
yeah.
in the ODI format. You can't just go attack, attack,
Hammer
attack.
and
That
tongs,
just
yeah,
doesn't
from
work.
ball one, as England would have found out in these conditions, right? Uh, yeah, no, thank you, Rakimo. Uh, Good chats about our double headers. This might be the last double header of the World Cup,
So
unfortunately. Yeah, but big game tomorrow, battle of the top two. Um, yeah, so South Africa obviously has a really good net run rate. Any win tomorrow will give them the top spot again in that table. So a lot to look forward to. Till then, keep supporting Bhagirath and thank you for watching.